They are changing the green card application form I-485. So if you're applying for a green card in the United States, be prepared December 23rd, 2022. The new public chart questions are being added to form I-485. My associate Anya Sergeyeva and I are going to go through it all the things you need to know today live, and to hopefully help you out through this process. So stay tuned. We're going to go over what the form is about, how to deal with it, what's involved, what answers there are, and a lot more. Anna, thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you, John, for having me here. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good. This form created more paperwork as always. This form I-485 for adjustment of status for those filing for a green card in the United States. When I started practicing immigration, I was like 4 or 5 pages. Now it's 20 now with this new page, I think. So it's really annoying. In 5 years, probably be 40 pages, a lot of questions. But you got to answer these correctly, and it's very confusing, extremely badly written. It's going to confuse a lot of people. In the first question, number 62, says, are you subject to this form? Like, people have no idea how to answer it. Hopefully we'll find the answers here. So let's jump into it. What is being updated? What is this new form?
So new edition, December 23, 2022. Why are they doing it? Because of new public charge rule that goes into effect this Friday. Again, December 23rd, 2022. And basically, they're really just, as they say, USIS says, they're just clarifying things, and it's supposed to be easier for people to understand how it all works and how do they apply it. Okay, in fact, again, we have like 1.5 pages of additional questions that were not there before. It resembles a little bit what we had during Trump times, but probably not as bad as it used to be. Yeah. But anyways, very important thing. If you are filing this form on or after December 23, you must use a new edition. And USIS specifically says that if you don't, they're going to reject the filing. If you're filing on December 22 and before that, right, we still have 2 days. We are doing this recording on December 21st. Okay, so there are still 2 days when you can send your application out. Okay, you have to use the old edition, which is July 15th, 22 edition. And very important to note that here USIS specifically says that it has to be postmarked, and they will go by the postmark date. Okay, and usually USIS, they do not recognize, it's called mailbox rule, meaning that they don't recognize the date when you send your application, but rather the date when they receive it. But here it looks like they made an exception for this specific situation. So quick tip, once you file your form, please make sure that you get the receipt, the proof that you when did you send this out from the post office. Don't just drop it. If you pay online or something like this, you use like stamps.com or something else, make sure you get the receipt from the cashier that shows the date when you filed your form, and make sure to use the right edition depending on when you mailing out your application.
Sure, and to really find the form itself, you can always go to Google, type I-485. The first link usually takes you to the USCIS page, and you see the current form is here, and then they have a preview of the upcoming form, so you can check it out. It's there. We'll be going through it so you can see it. But let's back it up a little bit and talk about what in the world is this public charge rule, and what's changing, what's not changing. So a little bit of history. One of the first U.S. immigration laws that existed and came into play with the current system that we have around 150 years ago was the public charge rule, because they wanted to prevent people who might come here and not be able to support themselves, and to stop them really and kick them out. A little behind the scenes baseball had a lot to do with Chinese immigration to California. I did a podcast on this. There's a lot of information about it. But essentially, that's where it got started. Public charge means, is the public going to have to get their money to this person to help support them? And so they created these rules to try to identify who could become a public charge. Fast forward to today, they made these requirements. President Trump came into place, however many years ago, and he made a really strict version of it that was very difficult, created a lot of extra applications and paperwork for it. It's a big headache. Once he left, they removed that aspect of it and went back to what was the old public charge rule from that was created 20 years ago, the version that was created 20 years ago. And their main goal in the public charge rule as it is now, which is as it was, that Trump blip is off, is will this person need money from the government, or have they already accepted cash from the government to maintain their income and maintain themselves here, or have they received long-term institutional care that the government had to pay for? Do they have to go to the hospital for 10 years, in some sort of affirmatory or something like that to take care of them, and was the government paying for that? So those are things that could prevent you from getting a green card. So it's can be very problematic. Now, for most people, they're not going to have this issue, especially family-based cases. They're going to have a Form I-86 for affidavit of support, where a family member or joint sponsor is going to take care of them, so that'll be fine. Or if they're doing most employment-based cases, the fact that they have a job and they're working will take care of this. So the questions that have come up on this form, which we're going to go over, are probably not going to be an issue for most people. Now, one question that does come up, and USCIS specifically has said, is what if you got Medicaid or nutritional assistance to support yourself and your family? They said this is not considered public charge, so that should be okay. They also said DHS will not consider receipt of non-cash benefits, for example, supplemental nutritional assistance programs, SNAP, as well known, public housing, school lunch programs. These are not problematic for the current version of the public charge rule. Now, warning, if the president changes, if Trump or DeSantis, some like other person like that comes, this could all change. Unfortunately, immigration is very political, and every time it's going to change, and that's just what we have to deal with. But those are the basics right there. Most people are not going to be affected by this new rule. It just creates more complicated paperwork that's going to stress you out. But that's just the big stuff there. So, Anya, if you have any comments, let me know. If not, let's go over more details about who needs to do this and what it all means in practice.
Yes, thank you so much, John. If you just can bring up the new form to the screen,
Sure.
so everyone can see what are we talking about here. So this is a new edition, okay? And the public charge rule starts at question 61 or 62, right?
You got to double check what edition you're on. The bottom left of your form, it says the edition date, edition December 23rd, 2022. It's very important when you print this application. Now, this information at the bottom sometimes gets cut off in some printers. We've seen that before. If it's not there, USCIS will reject your case. But let's scroll down to page, I don't know, like 16 you said, or that's all the way down there?
13, I believe.
Or almost there, almost there. Okay, page 13, question number 61, public charge.
Yes. So the first question, who does this apply to in terms of who this public charge rule applies to? And either the answer should be yes or no. And how to easy understand who this applies to and who shall answer no. If you can open the USCIS public charge page.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, it's called section Part G. The guidance, supposed to be more guidance that's coming up here soon, but if you go to Part G, public charge grant admissibility, and then you go to appendices, it breaks down different categories that you may be applying for green card to and whether it applies. So, for example, employment-based cases, yes. So you mark yes there. Go ahead, Anya.
Yes, exactly. If you open appendices for family cases, all family cases are should be answering yes as well. Okay.
Sure.
For example, if someone filing for the adjustment of status based on asylum, right, this does not apply to them. Okay. I think UNT visas as well, it does not apply to them. But most of the cases, they're subject to this rule. Okay. And if you answer yes to this question, then you have to answer all further questions, which we see not pretty straightforward. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying the way they did it. I mean, one is household size sometimes confuses people, but essentially it's what would be on the affidavit of support: yourself, for national, spouse, any children, or the people on your tax return. Those are some important stuff there that'll pop up for household size. And income, you can indicate your annual income and the total value of assets. And how do you consider assets? Like I have a couch that's expensive. How much is that really worth? They get a little complicated. I think they're not gonna be too strict on this.
Yeah, and
but
instructions are not really clear on that part. If you want instructions, yes, so it's not really helpful. The next question, for example, about liabilities. Okay, and they specifically here include in both secured and unsecured liabilities. So, John, do you count your mortgage? Do you count all your credit card debt? Do you count student loan? What's up with that?
Yeah, that's the thing. First of all, secured debt is something when you have a loan that they could take something from you. So if you have a house or a car and they take that, unsecured is like credit cards, maybe student loans. If you add them all up, let's say you have you're making money and you have a mortgage on a big house that's $2 million. How do you differentiate between $2 million debt on a house as opposed to $50,000 credit card debt? when all these numbers are jumbled together? So I think they have these questions. There's no way to differentiate. They're going to be lawsuits if people get denied because of it. And one thing I forgot to mention is that the Trump public charges that came into place, every single application was approved. They never had one. They had like 3 of them denied, but they're reopened and fixed. So they had these extremist rules there, but they all were okay. So I'm not too worried about this being problematic, other than the questions confusing people, because it doesn't make sense. How do you lump up all this and not get a total picture? To do that, they have to ask 20 more questions, which is more complicated. So in one sense, why bother even getting to this? But just got to calculate what you can and put it there and see what happens.
Yes, and the next question: highest degree or level of education. What? Just take all your diplomas, see what you have, and answer and put the answer there. Right. Also, same certification, everything. It all goes there. Why they ask this question? Some people may wonder, because they wanna know what is the chances that you, the applicant for a green card, will be able to support yourself in the future. Probably they think, the higher level of education they have, the more chances you have of not becoming a public charge. So probably this goes to that.
Yeah, and then the question comes in, instructions not clear. Do you have to give your degrees, or if you have a debt, do you have to get your mortgage and stuff? They don't say that. They don't mention you need to document it. So to just make it easier, at least now we're not going to submit these unless it's a case that's really troubled. Most people are not going to need to give the documentation, because the instructions, so far, I haven't seen them specifically say you want evidence of this stuff. So that's kind of annoying aspect of that exists there. I do recommend people probably get a credit report, so that when they're calculating their liabilities, they have a good number, because the U.S. government has access to those credit reports. So you want to come up something close there, so don't say you're missing something or something like that. The place that could be problematic are 68A and B. Have you ever received supplemental Social Security income, temporary assistance for needy families, essentially programs where the government, whether local, state, or federal, or even tribal, they give cash benefit programs for income maintenance, often called general assistance. That could be problematic. Then the 68B, have you ever received long-term institutionalization at government expense? These two, if you say yes, could lead to a denial. So you got to be very cautious. If there's a need to say yes to this, talk with an attorney first for sure, because that could lead to being a subject to the public charge rule. And then the following parts, they want more information to list exactly what happened with regards to those, and that's what 68C and D are. So question 68 is the part that can get you if you have a problematic case.
Right. Thank you so much, John. I think we covered everything, right? What we wanted to cover.
Yeah. Now there's going to be updates. There's going to be lawsuits probably for this. The Department of State may have their own version, because this is like for under Department of Homeland Security or USCIS under them. So if you're adjusting status, you need a green card in the United States. But if you're getting a green card through the embassy, we don't have any updates. That may come in the future. We'll do videos, and this may change, and the instructions may get more clarification. So there'll be probably updates to this. But December 23rd is coming up quick, so I wanted people to be prepared and get the information that they need to hopefully. Preferentially, they submit the case now before this change come in place, just to make it easier for you. But we got the info out. So Anya, thank you so much. If y'all haven't already, please like and subscribe wherever you're watching this, so you get more updates just like this. Leave comments. We'll try our best to answer them. If you want to schedule a private consultation, just email us at info@jqqlaw.com or anna@jqqlaw.com. We could talk in private about your case. Thank you so much, Anna, for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, John, and good luck, everyone. And as always, please read the instructions.
Definitely. Instructions. I mean, the instructions were pretty bad here, but at least read the basics.
Well, at least where they say about which edition to use, depending on when you file your case.
You could expect thousands of cases where people send the wrong application form, you're going to get rejected. And if there was a deadline to file these and you miss it because of rejection, it's going to be really troublesome. So please just pay attention to the form date and when you're sending it, and keep evidence. That's the most important takeaway that exists here. Having said that, happy holidays, everybody. See y'all soon.
Happy holidays. Bye-bye.